Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. There's an old saying that goes something to the effect of fools crave power, good men have it thrust upon them. And in my life, I've had it thrust upon me more times than I care to admit. Now, I admit, in a working situation, yeah, you're working hard to get promoted, but I've always been rather magnanimous. We had a gentleman, let's just call him for what he is. Everybody knew he was a complete a hole, no questions asked. However, he had to take 6 months off for some surgery, and even him being an a hole for all that time, I did not wish anything harmful upon him. And when he came back, there was a decent position open. I applied for it, which was mostly because I was tired of being on nights. I was just tired of, you know, waking up at dusk and waking or going to bed at dawn. And I was legitimately more qualified than this individual. I got along with more people, I did all the right things, and it was just one of those things where people forgot what an a-hole this guy was, and he started sucking up, and he wound up with a promotion. So do you want to know what I did to him? I gave him 100% of my support. I tried to make his life as easy as I could. After all, he was just coming back after surgery. And you know what? Not a big deal I didn't get that promotion. As a matter of fact, the management soon started targeting everybody that was left over from the old management and forced him out. Don't worry, they forced everybody out, including me, because they wanted to bring in their little popsicles from the place that they'd driven bankrupt, and that's what they did to the whole place. I've also been a part of multiple charity organizations, and I'm happy to do whatever role they want me to do. Yeah, you want to come in and do some accounting? You want to volunteer at the bake sale? Sure. Never done anything like that before. And then the talk soon becomes we got to parachute this guy into whatever position, and I do the job to the best of my ability. But it's not really something I look for. When I was into politics, there was mention in the party of perhaps putting me in one of the vacant leadership positions because they knew I was a pair of safe hands. Yeah, I really didn't want to do that. The most I wanted was maybe be a city, um, what do you call it again? Not an ombudsman, just a city councilor, basically. I didn't want to go through and be the leader of the country. I didn't want to, become party leader. I didn't need any of that nonsense in my life back then, and I still don't want it. Then you get what my father and I and a few other people call medal chasers. Medal as in Medal, not the stuff that you make stuff out of just so that they can stand up like some sort of third world general who has more pieces of brass on his chest than any one person should ever have in a lifetime. And they jump into any leadership position because there's going to be a medal in it for me, so I can go around and say, "Hey, look at this. I'm better than you because of whatever." And this is one of the people we need to get rid of in power. They're not necessarily malicious, but just that pursuit of recognition leaves them blind to their other responsibilities. It's actually quite sad when you sit down and look at it. The goal is ultimately for everybody to become better than what they are. But any sort of political or social position, things like that, you gotta gauge the person that the power won't go to their head. We had an individual who made it to the top rank in our individual organization and left immediately upon completing his responsibilities. This isn't a case where his work responsibilities changed or, he had a family emergency. I understand stuff like that is going to happen no matter who you are, when you are, what you're doing. Nope, this guy, nope. I got all this stuff from the 50th anniversary and I'm just going to disappear with it. He was doing it basically because he was pushed into that organization. I don't think he'd get away with it today, but yeah, completely disappeared. Now I had a similar situation where my job shift changed and I could no longer continue. But in return, I provided them with one candidate that was fully trained and fully ready to go, and another one who was just a little embryo and had just discovered what we were doing. And you know what? They both did a fantastic job. They didn't like them at first because they were in my camp, but they didn't understand I included everybody in my camp. Aside from the secretary, but we're going to leave that story alone. The secretary is one who wanted the power. He wanted to be a secretary, and he was parachuted in. Really, they brought him from another lodge, set us up, and then he did the same position for 25 years. And that's because he wanted that power. He kept saying, "Oh no, please replace me," and stuff like that. And when we did, he took it very badly. If you can in your life, try to avoid seats of power. It's okay to get promoted. It's okay to excel at your job. It's okay to be the best in the business, and it's okay if they say, "Hey, you're worth more than us. You can help us more if you're in a supervisor position," or whatever it is that you choose to be. But when you crave it, when it's the only thing you want, medal chasing, that's when you become a serious problem. Yeah, it's nice. I've achieved some pretty good stuff over my years, and I consider myself lucky. I still have some tokens of remembrance from all the years that I invested. And if situations were a little bit different, I'd go back and start helping again. But once you've reached the top, there's not really a whole lot more for you to do. Then you can start moving on to bigger organizations and do bigger things. But again, that's kind of medal chasing at that point. And nobody really needs it. So think about your career. Is it really something you want to do for the rest of your natural life? Probably not. I imagine you have dreams of retiring one day. You might even have a second career in mind. And to me, that would be far more something medal worthy, but there's no medals available for it, if you stopped being an accountant and opened a cookie store. Hey, everybody likes cookies. I know the metrics on a cookie store are not very good. Not a lot survive. And unfortunately, that's the truth behind them. It's just not a great market to be in. But if you could open a little business, work your own hours, you'd be doing yourself a favor, to say nothing of all the people that you're doing it in front of. The point of this is we need to prioritize our own self-achievement rather than achievement in the eyes of others. We're coming into an era where artificial intelligence is becoming, what's a good word for this? Widespread. It's everywhere. You know what? The AI does not care if you're a friendly person, if you clap the right people on the back and shake their hands. It looks at metrics. And a few of those metrics are just ridiculously unfair. I used to work sales a long time ago, and we were expected to make, was it 2 or 3 sales an hour? Well, doesn't work that way. Sometimes you wind up and you get three very chatty people in an hour that, oh, I'd like to hear about that plan, but what's the weather like there, sweetie? That can happen. That can screw up your metrics. And I was actually pretty good. I almost always hit my target. I know there was a couple times I didn't, but it's not the way I wanted to live my life. So I started studying their systems so I could be a systems architect and go in and not have a sales target, but still know what I'm doing and be able to fix it. This is before Google. So the manual was probably as thick as a regular size book, but one of those double sized one that's twice as thick. Yeah, it was not a pleasant thing to read. And they were considering putting me in that position, but then I got a better job. It was more in line with my field of expertise, and I felt more comfortable with it. So I jumped. I took my knowledge and I jumped. And I failed miserably. Not because I was a bad employee. Oh no. Just simply because the culture that I jumped into was very abusive. The culture in sales, I don't want to stigmatize them. They were people that meant well, but it was very rah rah, let's go, hey team, let's do this. You know, and yeah, it felt like being in high school. Whereas the industry I'm used to and logistics and stuff is very backbiting, and the boss and the other person I worked with were just not good people in any way, shape, or form. So, what happened when I decided to jump ship? It was just a very, very poor decision. Fortunately, that was a decision that was taken out of my hands, and I no longer have to deal with it. With that, I just want to remind you, don't seek power, don't seek responsibility unless you're 100% sure you are better than everybody else. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, because sharing is caring. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have subscribed already, you know what I'm trying to say. I've said it often enough. Click the bell icon so that way you can be notified every single time that a new episode comes out. And we hope you have a fantastic day.